Now, the question I'm asking now is, were the Tories wrong to oust Boris? Nadhim Zahawi seems to think so. The former Chancellor says the Conservatives were wrong to kick out Johnson when they did, and called the former Prime Minister the most consequential leader since Thatcher. Let's see what my panel make of this. James, you're a Bojo man, right? You were Bojo for PM.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had the T-shirt and everything. The man was an absolute moron. But, I mean, they're welcome to him. I mean, if they've kept him, you know, I think it would have been in a worse position.
Do you? Electorally?
The thing is, they seem to think the Conservative Party has been this way for a while now. People like Lee Anderson, people who come in, you know, who are strong enough in their character and strong enough in their convictions that they can say, I've got answers, I've got solutions. Boris Johnson had an appeal, and he had a platform, and he had a brand. Simple marketing. He had a well-known brand, and he was able to reach parts of the country that other people couldn't. Simple. After lockdown and after everything that happened with COVID, that brand was toxic. So I think if they'd stuck with him, there would have been even more catastrophic situation than they are now.
Do you not think Labour in power would have found themselves in the same position?
Now, that's a really interesting question, and that's where my mind had gone. It's almost academic, in my opinion, who's been in power since 2016. The minute the people voted for Brexit, we had a parliament, we still have a parliament, that largely stands against Brexit. The Conservative Party were against it. They still are against it. The majority of them, the One Nation lot who control the parliamentary party, are against it. And the Labour Party, absolutely, whatever Starmer says, well, not whatever Starmer says, he actually said, we're going to align. He said, and yes, he was caught on tape in Montreal saying we're going to align very closely with the EU so that in all but name we're going to be, you know, along the same. And that, for me, is the fundamental problem that our parliamentary democracy has struggled with ever since 2016. One of the reasons we have such economic difficulties, cultural problems, and basically getting to a point where civil society is breaking down is because they didn't give effect to the referendum result. And the consequences are vast. I do think, however, that having elected Boris Johnson democratically and having got the 80-seat majority, I don't think it was within their right to replace him not just once, but twice, where the second Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, the incumbent, doesn't even have the support of the Conservative Party. And that is a fundamental breakdown in democracy, and it's an unsustainable position. What Rishi should have done was call an election immediately on being appointed Prime Minister to legitimise his position. He didn't do it. Boris, I shared James's point there. Boris, I'm afraid, is wonderful a character as he may be, his ability to communicate, he is hopeless at any kind of ideological direction, and then having a plan and the ability to deliver that ideology. And I don't think he's a Brexiteer either.
I think it comes back to a fundamental question, which is, in our political system, we have this strange duality going on where to get elected and to be somebody who's good at getting elected, you have to be one kind of character, and to be good at running a country,
you've got to be a different kind.
You've got to be a different kind of character. How do you do both, you know? So Boris Johnson, the showman, the performer, of course he was good at winning elections. That's no surprise. But running a country? I mean, we saw what happened.
But can you imagine Boris going up against Sir Keir Starmer? I would like to watch that election.
Make mincemeat of Keir Starmer. I mean, Keir Starmer hasn't got a position, has he? Keir Starmer's basic approach to policy making is, well, you know, we won't change anything too much.
Well, Ben, he has got a position, but he's taken more positions than the Kama Sutra, dare I say.
True.
You know.
Well, he flip-flops. But, you know, he's trying to curry favour with every constituency in the country in order to get elected. You know, he's donning himself now in Thatcherite.
Yes.
Talking about how great
Said she was
Margaret
great,
Thatcher was.
Yes.
And
James agrees, of course.
You see Union Jacks everywhere, and we're never going back into the EU, and taxation won't go up. But, of course, we know all of that's nonsense. We know taxation will go up under the Labour government. We know that he doesn't believe in Margaret Thatcher. We know that we will get strikes with the NHS. We'll have even
We've got strikes. We've got strikes.
And they'll go on. Exactly.
I remember Sadiq Khan saying, under my mayoralty, there will be no strikes. The unions will, you know, step into line with me. They'll be my friend. Of course, there have been strikes, several of them, throughout his time in office. Are we not going to see the same thing with Labour? They talk a good game, but actually
He would say that the reason for that is because of a Conservative government overall, of course. Whether you believe that or not is a different question. However, with the Labour Party and with the relationship with the unions, it's always very interesting because people always say, oh, it's exactly the same as the Tories and their donors and they just do what they tell them to and all the rest of it. The trade unions are democratic. They're a democratic force and they're a force for good in Britain. We talk about them like it's the 1970s and we've got trade union barons running everything still. It's not the case. We have a democratic trade union system
Well, they are
that
running
represents
the Labour
people.
Party, are they not?
Well, of course they are, but that's the reason why. The Labour Party was created by the trade unions to represent trade unionists in Parliament. Keir Hardie being its first MP,
Yeah.
And now we've got Keir Starmer, the second Keir, leading the party.
Who doesn't represent the unions? You must appreciate
Let's
that,
wait and
James.
see.
Yeah.
Let's wait and see what he does in office, shall we?
Yeah.